Well, hello, everybody. Kyle Nedner up here from the Indy Star, and the sectional football draw came out tonight. And it was a long show tonight, a 2-hour show. I think that's about what it is every year. But really, they kind of had to rush through the last class, which was 6A, pretty quickly. And just wanted to talk a little bit about the draw tonight. And as they rushed through it, I was trying to keep track of everything that was going on. As they kind of on the ISA TV broadcast, they kind of they were under time constraint there and kind of going through them pretty fast. And as of recording of this, I still haven't seen the email from the ISA on the release. I think it got put on the website under a different. When you pull it up, it goes to executive committee meeting minutes. So I haven't seen the full draw, so I was kind of going off of what I watched on the video tonight during the show. But really, I thought, for as much as we talk about seeding and, how much, that I'm in favor of it for football, especially, or mainly for football. I think there's a good way you could do it. And how much fun that would be tonight if you did like a sectional draw and unveiled the sectional draw with seeding. Then you'd really have something to talk about. It kind of as you would unveil that process. I think that'd be a lot of fun to do something like that. But as it is, it's still a fun night. Teams find out where they're going, who they play against, what the path to Lucas Oil Stadium looks like for those teams. And I really thought, for the most part, I didn't see a whole lot of. I was kind of writing my story here tonight, but didn't see a whole lot of complaints this year. Normally, we've got the one big 6A. Matchup in the first round, that game where you kind of feel like, man, that's going to be could be a state championship type of game in the first game. But, we really didn't end up with that tonight. I didn't think for the most part we had, some pretty good sectionals that will be mostly decided in the championship games in Class 6A. And as I ran through, looking at those, you look at Sectional 3 in 6A, for example, where you'd have Westfield and Carmel playing in the championship game. So that one ended up being Zionsville at Westfield, West Lafayette Harrison at Carmel. Those two, and Westfield and Carmel played early in the season, and that was a pretty dominant win by Carmel. But I think a game that would be really interesting to see in the championship game. So that that was one, for example, that kind of worked out. I think if you seeded it, that's probably what you would come up with, is having those two teams play each other in the championship, not the first round of the sectional. Kind of similar in 4A or in sectional 4 as well, where you had HSC and Fishers on opposite sides of the bracket. HSC will play at Homestead and Fishers at Noblesville in the first round. And again, all these games are, the 6A games will be played. These teams get a week off, which would be the let's see, that'd be October 24th. That'd be the Class 4A on down would play their first round games. Then Halloween night would be actually the first round for the 6A and 5A teams. So those games would be played Halloween night in the what would be the sectional semifinals for the other classes. So. But anyway, so HC and Fishers, that would be your championship matchup in sectional 4. Again, that's the north side of the bracket sectional. And then moving on down to the lower side, the southern side of the 6A bracket, you have LC, Lawrence Central, playing at Lawrence North in the first round, and you have North Central playing Decatur Central at Decatur Central. Decatur moving up from 5A. After winning state last year. So I think that'll be interesting to see how they fare. A team I think they can beat in North Central, and then, can they match up with LN? I mean, you'd expect LN to beat LC. I think that'll be a quality game. It won't be an easy game for LN. Those teams know each other so well, play each other close during the first meeting way back in the first game of the season. So, but you kind of expect to see LN and Decatur. Again, if you're seeding that one, that's probably what you would come up with in that sectional 6. Sectional 7, Warren plays Perry Meridian at Perry Meridian in the first round. Southport at Tech. That sectional pretty easy for Warren Central. But Perry's probably the next best team in there. They are the next best team, but Be hard to see Perry having much for Warren Central in that one. So pretty good draw there, pretty good field for Warren to be part of. And then Jeffersonville at Center Grove, that's in Sectional 8, and Columbus North at Franklin Central in the bottom half of that bracket. Again, you'd probably end up with Center Grove, Franklin Central playing each other, and I think that is, again, probably the matchup you'd have if you seeded the sectional as well. So it kind of worked out. I didn't see a whole lot of complaining in 6A in the bracket. I think all those were probably what you'd want to see in the championship round. So the bracket is pretty well balanced, I think, this year as well. I think you're going to end up with some good regional games, and also not in our area, but up in Sectional 1 in 6A, you have Crown Point and Penn in the same bracket. They would also meet in the championship game in that sectional. So, and I think the winner of that will be pretty heavy favorite to advance in the regional as well. Although you have Carroll in there, Carroll could create some issues, I think, for potentially for both those teams. Fort Wayne Northrop's having a good year, but I would still probably favor Crown Point and possibly Penn if they get to that. So that would be the team. Whoever comes out of the north side in our area, which could be Carmel, could be Westfield, Fishers, HSE, out of that group would have to play the winner from that northern side, which has been Crown Point the last 2 years. And they did make it to the state finals 2 years ago and lost last year to Westfield. So, and then if you're kind of looking ahead on the southern side of the bracket, you could see, whoever comes out of that LN bracket playing, probably would be, Brownsburg, the defending champs in 6A, or, Avon did play Brownsburg close. Again, that would be a sectional championship matchup, Brownsburg and Avon in that one potentially. And Brownsburg plays at Pike, and Ben Davis plays Avon in the first round in sectional 5. So anyway, then you could see in sectional 7 and 8, if Warren and Center Grove come out of that, that would be a regional matchup. So, potential, if things kind of go chalk, you would have maybe Brownsburg and Lawrence North and Warren Central and Center Grove, which that's what it was last year in that round. Brownsburg, of course, beat LN in a close game and then beat Center Grove in a really close game in the semi-state to advance to the state finals. So yeah, the 6A, I think the 6A bracket looks pretty good. I mean, I think as far as like having the best teams advance to the next round, it has potential for that, I would say. So I think that's a good thing. The one team that will be playing in 5A is Whiteland. They play Seymour. They're in a 5-team bracket. That's the only 5-teamer in 5A. So Whiteland has to play an extra game, and they play at Seymour in the first round. That sectional is interesting. It's sectional 14. You have East Central on the other side of the bracket, which they're ranked 5th in 5A. Whiteland's been playing really well, though. I would not be, East Central Whiteland could be a really good championship in 5A sectional 14. And, also in, the big one really is sectional 13, where you had those three, New Pal, Cathedral, Plainfield, they were ranked 1, 3, New Pal 1, Cathedral 3, Plainfield 6 this week. Plainfield and Cathedral both lost this week, so I expect they will both drop slightly. Cathedral, but you could end up this championship game, I think, could be for the state championship. If Cathedral plays New Pal, that would again be a sectional championship game, not a semifinal. So, but yeah, circle that game. That one will be, if anybody's got something for New Pal, it could be Cathedral, even though the record might not be as gaudy as some of the others. They always play tough teams. They just went down to Covington Catholic, Kentucky, and lost on Friday. So no easy ones for Cathedral. And then I was, looking at some of the, you go on down to, some of the smaller classes in 4A, who has something for Chittard. You would kind of look at that and think they play at Mooresville, then would play Addix or Brebeuf. Addix is 7-1, but they don't play quite the schedule, obviously, that Chittard does. But probably the team on the other side of the bracket you'd look at is definitely Roncalli. But Roncalli does have an interesting game at Northview. Northview 7-1, so that could be a little tricky. But Roncalli, they played Chittard earlier in the year, lost 33-11. I expect if they would play again, that would be closer. Those two teams would play in the sectional championship again, so they're on opposite sides of the bracket in that class, in Class 4A. So, and this one's out of our area too. But man, sectional 32 3A is really crazy. Evansville Memorial's 8-0, number one in the class. They would play the winner. They got the bye, and that's a 7-team sectional. They would play Gibson Southern or Vincennes Lincoln. Gibson Southern's ranked number 2 in the class, so that's a really tough one. Top two teams in the state maybe playing in the sectional semifinal. And then on the other side of that bracket, there's really good teams too. Evansville, Mater Dei, Southridge, and this is the same sectional that Heritage Hills came out of last year, and they've since moved up to 4A. So that's pretty crazy. Kind of one of the most anticipated brackets, I think, was probably the sectional 29 Class 3A. Cascade, they have not advanced out of a sectional since 1992. They are ranked number 3 in Class 3A. They will open against Washington in the first round. And the team that they were kind of eyeing that they could play is Tri-West, which knocked them out last year, 37-35. Tri-West is 6-2, ranked number 8 in 3A. They play West Vigo in the first round. They should, advance out of that one. Both teams are pretty, what you would think would be pretty easy first round games. The other interesting game in that bracket is Guerin Catholic and Hamilton Heights. Both those teams 4-4, but much better teams than their record shows. They play a really good schedule. Guerin plays a lot of teams that are bigger than them. Hamilton Heights has played some bigger teams, and then a couple others like LaPel, which is just really good 2A team. So Hamilton Heights has been playing well here of late. Both those teams are on the other side of that bracket, so that's who Cascade and Tri-West, whoever comes out of there, would play in the championship game. Most likely would be one of those two. Indian Creek has a really good, I would say, winnable sectional. They're in sectional 31 in Class 3A. Indian Creek's 5-3. They have the bye there in that 7-team field. So, Owen Valley, Madison, those teams, only 3 wins combined between them. Scottsburg and Edgewood are on the other side of that bracket, and those are the other two best teams, I would say, in there. So Indian Creek, they haven't won a sectional since 2011, but I think we'll have a chance to do so this year in Class 3A. So, that's another one I think that could be a local team advancing. You look down to 2A, and LaPel 8-0, ranked number 3 in 2A. They won the sectional last year. I think probably will be the pick again. They play Winchester 7-1 in the first round, and then they're on the opposite side from Triton Central, which is also 7-1. But LaPel would probably need to get through Eastern Hancock in the sectional semifinal, which that's not really an easy path. And make sure I've got this right here. I was looking to see. I'm pretty sure LaPel plays Eastern Hancock this weekend, if memory serves. And they do. They host Eastern Hancock. So that's one of those weird ones where you play at the end of the season. They wouldn't play right away, but could see each other 2 weeks later. So that's kind of a weird situation always when that happens. Sometimes even teams play 1 week and then turn around and play again right away the next week. So elsewhere, Lutheran, definitely a favorite, I think, in sectional 37. They open with Covenant Christian. The other teams in that bracket, Monrovia is better than a 3-5 record. Heritage Christian's 4-4, but Lutheran beat Heritage Christian by 35 on Friday. So pretty tough, I think, to think the Saints will not advance out of the sectional. In the north half of the 2A bracket, Western Boone's 5-3, one of the favorites in sectional 34. They open with North Putnam and then could see Southmont, which is 7-1. Those two teams played each other last week. Southmont beat Western Boone 26-23. So those two teams could meet again, and maybe possibly the winner be the potential favorite to move on in that sectional. Mentioned Whiteland. Lebanon's another team to watch, I think, in Class 4A sectional 20. They open with Culver Academy in that 7-team field. Culver Academy 2-6. The tougher teams in that one are probably Huntington North and Muncie Central. They're on the opposite sides of the bracket. But Lebanon, a team that came really close last year to winning their first sectional since 1997, I think could have a really good chance this year to get through and win one. Josh Yoder in his first year as coach, and Chris Hill has been playing really well at quarterback for Lebanon so far this year. So, yeah, those are kind of my main takeaways from the draw tonight. Like I mentioned, Brownsburg opens at Pike. Brownsburg 8-0, Pike 3-5. That's sectional 5. Ben Davis 2-6, and Avon 4-4. The other side of that bracket. Brownsburg, they one of their toughest games this year was against Avon in week 4. It's 55-47. So those two teams play each other again. Obviously, rivals in the same area, know each other well. And then the north side of the bracket, I mentioned Carmel and Westfield. That would again be a championship game if they played each other. So yeah, a lot of I think games or sectionals where we're going to end up with better championship games than first, or what you call first round games or semifinal games. So I think that's a good thing. Looking at this year's setup. So again, we'll have one more week of the regular season. So we're not to it yet to the sectional this week, but to be one more week, I'll have more takeaways and things. I've got the initial takeaways coming out Monday morning, along with the Monday Insider, the usuals, and then we'll get into some other sectional stuff as the week progresses and into next week, of course. So appreciate you joining me here again. Kyle Nennerup here for the Indy Star, and we will talk to you next time.